Hi friends, let's take a look at Link together. Link versus Bitcoin, shall we? Yeah, cool. And Link versus the dollar coin, shall we? Yeah, cool. Let's do both of those. How about it? Right. So what were we talking about in the recent past? Well, and where has the prices come from? What are they doing in the and blah blah blah, all the good stuff. Okay. Well, just we have all this laid out for us. We came down here to our third profit taking target, lovely jubbly, down there at the 61,000. We've actually been back down towards that area again today at 63,000, but not all the way down. Showing maybe perhaps that we're not going to have an engulfing candle in the 24-hour time frame. Should the prices manage to stay, above where the previous closes were, kind of let's hope for them to say above 64,000. If you put much stock in bearish engulfing candles, I don't really particularly put much stock in the old engulfing candle chat. Of course, you can see here engulfing candle, further action towards the downside, engulfing candles. I can see how that would look silly to say such when this is in front of us. So that's why I am talking about it. Like, let's look out for that and see if we get that closes below the previous one. But also, let's take an eye on this area, which is way bit more interesting for us, perhaps, because if the prices move above the 50% line at 68k, 69k, then maybe we're moving towards the top side. Now, this is subject to volatility imposed upon it by the Bitcoin pairing having its own volatility, compounding it or shit rolls downhill or whatever you want to look at it. So what we have to remember is that overall, Bitcoin's been in an uptrend, trends your friend, yada yada. So if it trends more powerfully than this one, but they both go up against the dollar value, then we see divergence amongst the charts in terms of how it looks. Bearing in mind that at the minute, the charts look largely the same, but with their sort of extreme sort of how extended they get being less. So anyway, that's what we're looking for, and what we have at the minute is this downward trend then since the 15th of July. So over the last couple of weeks, that's what we're looking at, and it's we're moving down the way here as part of a downtrend. We're coming down here towards where our previous, in terms of the RSI, the stochastics and whatnot, towards where our previous low was. The swing before we really came towards the upside move here, all the way down there at 41k. That's where the previous low was on the RSI and stochastics and whatnot. What we've done so far is we put in these lows here, and the RSI is potentially going to go lower than it. Potentially over the next few while. Stochastics have. If this is an overall upward trend, and you look at the lows during an upward trend, and the lows work out to be lower over here on the oscillators, while they're not lower over here on the price action, what does that mean? In fact, you can decide that as we go to an ad. As I was doing the joke of this in the other video, I might start doing this in the videos. I don't know. I hope it doesn't break any rules for YouTube. And all that sort of stuff. But you can choose in your mid-roll places where the ads go. So I thought I would stick one in. So if you want to go make yourself a cup of tea or whatever, then that's cool, and you can come back and that. But for me, it'll just be 1 second. Of course, you can hit the skip button or whatever. So after a word from our sponsor. Oh, by the way, if it is like a scam one, like Vitalik Buterin, hit that report button. Don't let them get away with these scam ads. Only legit ads, please. I try and block them from my end, but what can you do? And I tell YouTube about them on Twitter as well. Yeah. And you can discuss the ads that you see in the Discord with me in the ads channel for, so because I'll watch the ones that you watch if you send me a link to it so that I can see if it's funny or interesting or great or, something. Anyway, whatever. After a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for that. I hope that works out. By the way, if you're watching this just after I've uploaded it, I'll not have the option to do that and whatever else, so that won't be a thing. But if this is a few hours have gone by, then maybe I'll have updated the ad thing, or maybe I just look like a complete idiot throughout it. If I look stupid, hit the like button. Remember, of course, always hit the like button when you see me looking stupid. So yeah, right. We've got this downward trend here. When will it stop? When will it stop? Well, if the 618 doesn't stop it, and likewise at the same time where this 382 is coming in at, then we are looking down towards this other target where the 50% is coming in between the 786 and the 886 here in terms of the downward movements. And that's what I would be kind of most cautious about, coming back in at where we've seen the previous price action happening at, back down to our previous all-time highs areas. And then would we find the foothold coming in there and us moving towards the top side? Yeah, sure, maybe we would. And that would be very interesting at that point, and then we can revisit things here if we actually have, previous price action as part of this story to give us, ideas about support and resistance. But there's a different story over here ever so slightly. And while the roadmap is, I wanted to make some sort of metaphorical type, some sort of chat in there, but I'll not bother. While it's a similar story, obviously the shape, like I was saying, is slightly different due to the extra volatility that we saw versus with the Bitcoin dollar pairing. So we have a dynamic here, right? If we see the prices moving below what I was talking about in the previous episodes, this 236 line, we could also consider this to be like a neckline of head and shoulders, and we'd see prices moving down towards the bottom line. You've also got a 236 over here. This is coming from big major lows to highs there. Then this Fibonacci, this is obviously just this recent price action looking at it towards the downside. So moving below this 236 here invalidates that Fibonacci retracement, going wick to wick down to the wick there on the 27th of July. So that would invalidate that one, and it would also be moving past this one, at which point you could be looking at the measured moves that you could get off of this thing here, which is of course from sort of 85 down to 7, so 180. So a movement down the way there could take you down to there's the 620s targets, or indeed maybe where the 382 is coming off of this thing, or indeed even down as far as this. Now this is where we have the zone drawn in at on the dollar. Is it though? Yeah, no, this is just our previous highs zone marked in there. Which is kind of similar to what we were talking about there in the Bitcoin thing. So while the story is the same, if we were to see a breakdown there of the price action at that point, you might see what happened over here. You know, this is where we had that same scenario. So this is like, you know, see, it's the same sort of story, but it's different timings on things, you know. So this would be breaking down. This is the Adam and Eve type chat here with the breakdown past that neckline. Over here in the dollar pricing, Adam and Eve here. And if you break down past that neckline, you could be looking down to either of these two targets. But of course, that doesn't have to happen. And like we already spoke about as well, we could see, like, say, the prices going up towards the top side here against the dollar pricing, and if they did it, you know, at a greater rate than the Bitcoin pricing went up, then maybe we would see things moving towards the top side. But again, if the Bitcoin price itself moves up quicker than the dollar price for the Chainlink pair, then you would see positive action here, negative action here, yada yada yada. So you'd have to make that assessment yourself. Just, you know, 3 days ago there was that big candle there, and 3 days ago there was this one. So you saw a degree of that happening when this wick was formed, which is between those stochastic, that Fibonacci point. That's kind of cool. That's kind of going to do it for us. You know, we're looking at the prices here. I've got it all laid out. 711, 720, 735. Those are the targets. Watch yesterday's video as well. Really great video. Got all that information in it that you would need to have. And of course, you know, the top side target 889 would be great. So cool. That's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to become a member, by the way, there's new things on the channel. I've got memberships now, so I'm going to turn this on later on. It's all cool. Watch one of the other videos where I discuss about it in a bit more detail if you like. $3.99, $8.99, and $44.99. Of course, you know, those are, I wouldn't expect anybody to pay that at all, but they're there if you want to be generous and do all that, you know, as a sort of throwing the value back at the channel that hopefully I'm delivering to you on a daily basis, hopefully, you know. And if you do find value from this and you decide to hit the subscribe button because you're just joining in here for the first time today, wow, amazing. You know, I think that that's so super valuable, and I'm so blown away by this because we've got this option here. We're only just over 1,000 subscribers, and you're supposed to have 30,000 subscribers to get this. And I feel, and I'm not going to investigate it because I'd rather believe this. I'm not going to look into it. I just rather believe this. So I've decided to believe it. I've decided to believe that YouTube has looked at the channel, decided that there's such good value here, that the subscribers are loving it, that it's so organically growing, that everything's been so great along the way, that what they're going to do is put a join button on here for me. Sort of celebrate that fact. You know, I'm not going to look into the terms and conditions. I know you're supposed to have 30,000, and that's as much as I'm going to look into. And I'm going to choose to believe that they've been able to see from the stats behind the scenes that this stuff that we have on the go here is really great, and you know, and that so many people are getting such value from it. So, thank you. Moving on. Thanks for tuning in. Right, I've got to remember if I did that ad thing. I'd probably forget. I'd probably just have it looking like a chump. Right, see ya.